I've never been interested in just making art, and I think that the reason for that is that, and I'm not, making a judgment call on the million of wonderful artists out there who are doing it, but for me, making art is kind of a personal expression, right? And I've just never really felt that my personal expression is that, who cares? You know, I'm much more interested in a dialogue. I've been making things my whole life. It's like I started oil painting lessons when I was 7. So this thing of being a maker, it's not foreign to my family. I mean, my grandfather on my father's side was an inventor. He was involved in headlight design and had like over 90 patents on automotive headlights. And my father was involved in fluorescent lighting early on. So the idea that you could have a life comprised of making things was not foreign to my family at all. So I went to undergrad. I got a degree in fine art in painting and drawing, and went on to grad school at Madison, Wisconsin, again in painting and drawing, and moved down to Chicago and quit making art for the most part. And I think part of that was that I wasn't really interested in making art that was just me expressing myself. You know, it's like, who cares really as far as that goes? And I was 21, 22 years old. You know, I didn't feel like I had that much to say. And it was 1980, and right around that time, within a couple of years of that, my partner and I at the time, Lloyd Schwan, we saw this movement from Italy start taking place, and it was the Memphis Design Group. They were creating this amazingly beautiful work, furniture and tabletop accessories that was like so sculptural. At the same time, art furniture galleries were starting to open up. And so we quickly moved into this field of making things that people would use. We started the company Godley Schwan. It started out as a costume jewelry company, and we knew nothing. We knew absolutely nothing about running a business. I mean, we knew nothing about making stuff for sale. We got ourselves a rep. We had put together a line of these silly little earrings and bracelets and pins and stuff, and we got a rep. And she took it to the New York Gift Fair, or one of those shows, I forget which one it was, and sold $60,000 worth of this stuff in the first show. You know, and so we were in business overnight. We had a large order within the first couple of years of doing that from Neiman Marcus, and it paid enough money that we packed up and moved to New York City, because we were both still doing work that could be for galleries, more the art furniture work, not so much painting or sculpture. So over the course of maybe 4 or 5 years, we went from doing tabletop accessories to pulling the furniture that we had been doing for the art furniture galleries into Godley Schwan. And again, partly because we were so naive. I mean, we would design a whole new line for every single show, simply because that's what we were interested in doing. And so you know, it probably wasn't the best business model, but we designed and made and sold so many different designs, literally thousands. We had heard about this furniture fair in Milan, Italy, and it's the Salone dei Mobili, and it's one of the largest contemporary furniture fairs in the world, and we thought, well, we should go see that. And we got there knowing nothing about really what was going on there, and it turned out we were the only contemporary furniture company from the United States. People kept coming up to us and saying, oh, you can't be from the United States. There is no design in the United States. So we came back from that with an enormous amount of press. Getting the accolades from Europe really made a huge difference as far as what we were doing here. It was a wild time, and still, it's like, you know, the majority of the work that we did it because we wanted to make things. You know, I can't say that we ever were very good at kind of gauging the market to say, you know, what might sell well. And we had said, okay, so how about if we just do some stuff that's really fun, we'll put it in the front of our booth and it'll draw people in, and then they'll buy the stuff that's a little bit more conservative, not much, but a little bit more. And what happened was that people were drawn into the booth because of these really crazy shaped cabinets and colorful pieces, and that's what they bought. And it kind of gave us more permission to do exactly what we wanted to do. Pieces were starting to get put into museum collections, and it was rolling along pretty well there for a while. And then we split up Godley Swan. Lloyd went on to do design work on his own, and I, not wanting to continue in the same vein that we had been doing, I didn't want to compete doing furniture and lighting, I went back to doing art. And the obsession that had developed towards the last years of Godley Swan with lighting kept going. And so it's been almost 20 years since then, and everything that I have done since then has light embedded in it in some way.
Hi, I'm Jessica Blue, and welcome to my apartment in Lincoln Square. When my husband and I were shopping for an apartment, we really wanted to find something with vintage character. We really love all the detail and some of the molding and the archways. I love thrifting, I love repurposing furniture, and it all sort of just came together with these nods to mid-century and just like an eclectic vibe. Oh, that's FIFA. This piece is one of my favorite pieces in the dining room. I found it at Megmade, which is a great local vendor. She finds these awesome vintage pieces and then she custom paints them for you. This is something I found through Craigslist. It's a great bust. And this portrait that we're looking at is an actual portrait of my grandmother. So I had it shipped from Poland, and my grandmother's with me in the dining room every day. This corner of the home, I immediately knew I wanted to do a reading nook just because of this little bump out and the space here for shelving. You can take out an ottoman and just kick up your feet, and it just sort of makes up this really great entryway when you walk into the home. We love to host friends and have dinner parties, so I found this great burl table. I love burl. I found it at CB2, great price point. And I paired the dining table with these really great Seska chairs that I found off of Craigslist again. I just had them reupholstered with some really fun Maharam fabric. This is probably one of my proudest achievements. It's something that was very cheap to do, but I love a gallery wall. And every single painting on this wall is from a thrift store. The Canadian-based artist Isabella Di Sclafani made this beautiful Whitney Houston painting for me that I added to my gallery wall of thrifted finds. And then of course, we have our ever-growing bar that prior to quarantine wasn't this large, but my husband, who is a huge Scotch whiskey fan, has collected some cool things over time. So we'll experiment and make cocktails over the weekend and during happy hours. Welcome to my living room, which is technically a master bedroom that changed into a living room because we really wanted a full dining space. But it's worked out really great, especially with transitioning to working from home. And it's sort of a nice, cozy space that can sort of transition from working to then relaxing and sitting on the couch. A really fun project that we did in this room was due to the fact that there were already sconce locations on either side. I went ahead and updated that and I added a little detail. We found some really great leftover Maya Romanoff vinyl, and sort of had it cut out to fit the size of the sconce location, and then we had it framed out. We found a really great sofa from West Elm, but I had a friend find these really great Thayer Coggin chairs from Mercantile M, which is in Andersonville. It's a shop that I frequent a lot. They were in great condition. These didn't have to get reupholstered or anything. And then this great, like, two-tiered coffee table was another vintage find that I found through Cherish, and this literally cost me $100. My workspace is sort of a combination of things. Like I had to bring in a task chair from my office. Also, I like to compose things in trays here, like samples for client projects. It's great with organization and just accessing things like very easily. Welcome to my bedroom. I knew that I wanted darker paint and sort of brought that in with like some of the darker bedding. Another really great piece in this room that I really love is this art piece on the wall. It is from Dial M. Another really great local Chicago shop, and for some reason I already had this pillow, and so it was meant to be this sort of like color connection. And then another great piece that's very special to me is this watercolor print. It was done by a friend that I knew when I was this old, because that's me in the picture with my nanny. And then 20 years later, we found each other on Facebook, and he told me that, you know, this was part of his art collection. I was very lucky to get reunited with, you know, a piece of my childhood that I don't remember. Working for a design firm, you sort of always get like little ends and pieces of things that customers don't want anymore. So I took this Dadar linen that's really heavyweight, gorgeous, and super expensive. I think it was meant to be a duvet or something, but I turned it into these really cool decorative panels and adds really great pattern and texture to the room. This little bathroom was a fun project because it was a complete gut. We had a radiator at one point. We ripped it out and we installed heated flooring. And then I just found some really great subway tile and a little mosaic for the floor and just alternated the grout so that it created this really cool graphic. Welcome to the kitchen. This is the place where my husband and I love to cook. The only thing we really did in the kitchen here was paint the cabinets. They were a very cheapo builder's grade, you know, wood, and just to sort of give them a little facelift, we painted them Benjamin Moore gray and added a really cool, like, colorful rug that I found on Etsy, and the space was completed.
Here we are, Location Luxe. I'm your host, Alan Canis, and here in Season 1, we'll be focused on what we're calling the Great Lifestyle Migration. On each episode, I'll be right here in San Francisco, Silicon Valley. Over the last few decades, we've witnessed a great migration for employment and technology development. As such, the need and demand for homes has been among the highest in the country. These migration choices are giving people an extraordinary opportunity to explore new locations, amenities, and lifestyle options. And that's why we're here. Location Luxe. This week, I am so excited to welcome my friend Jennifer Egbert, who is not only a top realm partner, but also a top real estate agent in Boulder, Colorado. Jennifer, thank you so much for joining us here today.
It's so great to be here. Thank you.
Jennifer, I never thought we were going to get you on the show. You are super busy. Families are migrating to Boulder like crazy. But Jennifer, before you take us through how Boulder is so much more than a beautiful destination location, it is truly a beautiful lifestyle. You must tell us a little bit about you and tell me about your business.
Yeah, so I came here in 1991. So I moved to Boulder from Minnesota. I came for college. I started doing this about 20 years ago now, and I focus on modern luxury. So it was a conscious choice to niche my clientele pretty early on. I definitely wanted to be in a space where I was working with people who had the same interests as me. It felt like I couldn't be everything to everybody. So I niched down really quickly, and my marketing has kind of always been in that realm of modern luxury, and it's really changed the face of how Boulder looks, which is really cool.
And Jennifer, could you tell us a little bit about the culture, the downtown, the restaurants? What could a buyer expect to find in Boulder?
So I think that's the biggest thing that really lures people to Boulder is they get here and they see this beautiful historic downtown walking area. It's Pearl Street Mall. The walking mall, Pearl Street, has been always a place where small businesses have opened up their spaces. So we have really great retail shops. We've got these great coffee shops. The restaurants here are excellent. We have several James Beard award-winning restaurants, from Frasca Food and Wine. We've got Corita that opened up. So just a lot of really, I think people are always shocked when they come here that it's not mountain food and it's not breweries. It's really fine dining as well.
That's terrific. What are the seasonal activities you're seeing there in Boulder, Jennifer?
I mean, so we have 4 seasons, right? So, there's always been a huge rock climbing scene, a huge cycling scene, obviously skiing and snowboarding and snowshoeing. And then in the summer, we have hiking and everything that you would do outdoors in the summer. The thing that I've noticed in the last decade is even the ski resorts have adjusted to, when on those years where we have less snow, their summer programs have become very robust as well. When people come here, there's always just so much to do, right? So you could live here and always be doing something new, and then also come as a tourist and always be wowed, which is really lovely.
Tell us a little bit about the arts and different cultures that we can find there at Boulder as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's been, we have there's this mantra of Boulder, like keep Boulder weird, right? And when I came here, I still remember that there was this, and there still is an air of weirdness. Like you can always tell the old Boulderites from the newer Boulderites, as time goes by. So when I came here, there was this very robust rock climbing scene. And so there was kind of that like cool dirtbag thing going on, and then the hippies that were, that Boulder's really known for, and then these kind of like artists who had found their way here, and that has definitely evolved so that it's a lot more refined now. We have a lot more athletes who are here. We have a lot more people in tech who are here. We have a lot more luxury, a lot more affluent people that have come to the area that are more like, I would call it like, you can tell that you're coming into a luxury town anymore. However, the thing that has maintained is this like really casual, relaxed, and friendly vibe.
Tell me a little bit about the access to flights and airports. How easy is commutability?
I mean, I think that's a major reason why so many people are moving to the area is because, as the tech industry has grown, so many people have been commuting back and forth. So think about like Bay Area, right, to Miami, or Bay Area to New York commute. Well, we're in the middle. So now you can go 2.5 hours to the Bay Area, you can go 3 hours to New York, and go 3.5 hours to Miami. So it makes it a lot more of a livable life. Denver International Airport's a 45-minute drive from here. Travel has become so much more accessible. And I mean, I'm lucky that I don't have to travel for work, but those who do, I mean, they're really loving how much more time they get to spend with their families once they move here.
And Jennifer, what could somebody expect in weather when they move to Boulder, Colorado?
Well, we are called the place that there are 300 days a year of sun. So it is really lovely. It's great because, again, we have these 4 seasons. We're high desert, so it's very dry. I mean, I grew up in Minnesota. I was always like washing the scum off my face and it was wavy hair and all that kind of thing. And so here, you've got dry air. You've got beautiful sunshine. Right now we're having a rainy year, so it just looks so lush, and the wildflowers are insane on hikes, and you drive up to the mountains and you can still see snow-capped mountains from further away. So it's really mild. I think there's that, people think of snow and then they think of like feet and feet of snow, and that just doesn't really happen that often in Colorado. I think that's like Californians' biggest fear is like coming here and getting buried in snow. And we'll have a big snow, and then because the sun, we're so close to the sun here, it melts within about 3 days. So we have like really, I mean, and I'm from Minnesota, so I'm going to say we have mild winters comparatively to those that I think, like the coldest day might be like in the middle of January, and it's just not, it's kind of amazing here.
I remember, seeing the picture of your backyard with all that snow, a few months ago. It was pretty amazing. It was beautiful.
That lasted a
with
minute.
The dog and the kids playing in the back.
Yeah, totally.
You said it was very quick. It was gone.
Yeah, it's great. And that's, I come from a place, like I remember like snow drifts up to here.
Exactly. And Jennifer, where do you think most of the buyers are coming from?
I know where they're coming from. They're coming from Illinois, primarily Chicago area. They are coming. We had a huge influx in 2020 from Georgia for some reason. I don't know why. I have to look into that. Florida is a new one, Miami. We have New York, always has been an influx, California, and Texas.
So Jennifer, you have some of the most amazing property types, architectural designs. Can you tell us a little bit about what a buyer can expect to find when coming to Boulder?
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like Boulder had 2 growth spurts. It had like a pre-World War II, World War I even growth spurt. Like, so there's these beautiful historic areas like Mapleton Hill, Upper Chautauqua. Then we have this whole post-World War II era. And there are tons of just salt box ranch style homes that they were throwing up at that time. So those have come down. And again, because we don't have a growth cap, we are seeing those property values just go through the roof. So people, if they can get them, are taking them down. They are, and then building multi-million-dollar homes. And homes here and that price point are based on location and views. We have some really incredible views of the mountains here, to the north and to the south. Everybody's really familiar with the Flatirons because that's what you see in every ad for Boulder. However, the views to the north are becoming really popular as well. So you get these really amazing sunsets and sunrises off of them. But I'm really loving the revival of the mid-century modern properties that are happening because people are really loving them and bringing them back to life. And, if they've had that horrible early 90s remodel, they're taking that out and putting back in something that actually is an homage to mid-century modern. And then we've been seeing some really cool new modern architecture go up on non-historic sites, and so there's just some really fabulous homes being built here right now.
It sounds amazing. And
Yeah.
Jennifer, what are you seeing in appreciation year over year?
Yeah. So average years in Boulder garner 8 to 12% equity gain. Historically, we gain equity and we gain it at rapid rates, and then we never lose equity historically. We've slowed in equity gain, but we haven't lost equity. So we're a very unique real estate market.
Jennifer, could you please share with us what a buyer could expect in property tax?
Yeah, so Colorado property tax is about 0.49%. And you'll see we're like the third lowest property tax rate in the country.
Wow.
So there are a ton of people moving here just for those reasons alone. Illinois is one of them. New Jersey is another area where people are coming here because A, it's beautiful, but B, they're spending exponentially less in property taxes.
And what condition can a buyer expect to find a house when writing an offer?
So that's a great question. So there are a couple of houses in my neighborhood that just sold, and they are really well done remodels of mid-century modern houses. So mid-century modern, maybe it's just our age, right? Like everybody wants it. Like it's kind of the nostalgia, and it's cool, right? Mid-century modern, taken down to the studs for the most part. They're getting, it has to be staged, but say they're being listed at like 1.8, they're going under contract at 2.5. And they look good. They look good. And that's not to say that somebody wouldn't bring their own vibe into the house, right? They might do some remodeling. But then again, we've got these high price point properties that are tear downs, right? So it really depends. Again, it's that location driven, size of the lot driven. Anybody in Boulder, like there are also in our neighborhood, some of those just old crappy, 1,100 square foot ranch style homes that are on a 7,000 to 9,000 square foot lot that are going for $1 million that, they don't have to really do professional photography or anything because they're going to come down. It is very specific to what type of property it is.
Jennifer, can you tell me what is the common misconception of Boulder?
So I hear this a lot. Boulder is not a deal town. Boulder is not an undiscovered place. This is a town that has been really established, and the county is super protective of this space. They don't want mass growth.
So Jennifer, I ask everybody that comes on the show this question. Okay. What is your favorite person, buyer story that has moved to Boulder? Do you have one?
Oh, let me think about this. I have a client who is in fashion, and I am totally fashion is my thing. And they are a very well-known fashion house, and I just feel super lucky that they found me and the way that they found me and that I get to work with them. So I definitely have met some just really, really cool people that I get to work with for sure.
Jennifer, I want to thank you so much for being on this week's episode of Location Luxe. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm really sorry it took so long.
All great things come to those who wait. Thank you. Well, Sam has something for everybody. See, that's just how I'm dressed. There
All
you
right,
go.
we'll have him call me. I actually have a guy who just bought, $151 million
and they do mail
building.
Order.
So. Oh, is that where you go in and get measurements and then they send it to you?
Yes. Oh, yeah. They do it all. He and his wife,
Oh,
Gloria.
yeah.
Men and women.
Okay, well, have him call me because I actually have a commercial agent for him to talk to.
Okay, perfect.
Yes. Let's do it.
Hi there, I'm Catherine Given from Luxe Interiors and Design, and thank you so much for tuning into our Collab Lab segment on DesignTV. Today, I am so excited to be chatting all things collaboration with a designer I greatly admire who needs no introduction, Tom Felicia.
Hey, how are you?
Good, thanks for being here. And from Fazy, the makers of beautiful rugs, we have Justin Yeck, the vice president there. Hi, Justin.
Hi, Catherine. How are you?
I'm
Hey,
good.
Justin.
Hey, Tom.
Thank you guys so much for joining. I have to say, you know, when I was at High Point Market last month, this was one of my favorite introductions. It's sophisticated, it's easy to use in interiors, it's just super livable. You know, obviously it's what people want in their homes right now. So just to begin, I'd love if you could both just talk a little bit about how this partnership came to be, right? I think it's the first time you're collaborating. So how did you guys connect?
Oh my gosh, I'm going to tell you first how I did it. I stalked them.
I love that.
I mean, so I will give you a little bit of background. So, you know, we've worked with Fazy, you know, for years, and I purchased their product. I started working on a television show with Bravo called Get a Room, and Fazy was an amazing resource for us throughout that project. I started realizing what a great resource they were for us as our design firm. And I thought, wow, if I were to do a rug line, this is the kind of partner that would be amazing to work with. And we talked about it internally and thought, let's reach out to them and see if they'd ever even consider a partnership. And Laura from my office started sort of talking to the team over at Fazy, and it just was, you know, received with a, you know, sort of with a possibility, let's talk about it more. And it just kind of grew from there. Justin was also trying to sell this concept to the company, like, hey, there's this crazy designer that I think would be a great partner.
Is that how it goes? That's not how it went, Justin?
Yeah, no, we didn't say crazy designer. You know what, I think when we were starting to look for partnerships, we've looked at this in the past and we've had these experiences with these partnerships, and we really wanted someone who had the same ethos that we did, as a company that is geared towards designers, working with a well-known designer within the community, and someone that's respected by designers. And so, you know, I think that's where this whole partnership came from.
They couldn't get that person, so that's when I showed up.
You stepped in. Yeah, I love
So we got
that.
Tom instead. We've been so excited. You know, I think it's gosh, almost a 2-year process in the making.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, for this whole collaboration together, it was just a natural fit.
I love that. So guys, I want to talk a little bit about what you said, Justin, like the product making process, because it is so involved, it's long, it's prototyping, ideas, finishing. But can you talk about that a little bit? Was there a lot of back and forth, or where did you even begin?
Sure. Yeah. You know, I mean, we really asked for inspiration from Tom and his team and his creative director, Randy. And they came through with amazing inspiration for us. I mean, I think when you're looking at having a partner who comes through with this inspiration of what they're looking for and the product and their designs, and they want that to translate over, so often you'll get people who are like, oh, I don't really know where I want to go with this. And so, you know, Tom and his team had such a beautiful perspective of where we can take these products and what they were looking for. And honestly, I mean, I'll turn it back over to Tom on this one. It was seamless. I mean, he has a good story about it, but I'll just say that it's been absolutely amazing to work with him and his team.
Well, thank you. That's so sweet. And I know we really have had this sort of heart to heart at like a dinner, or, you know, we really did. I can't even remember where we were, but, you know, the reality is that I think there are a lot of, it's from both sides. You know, I think when you find a partner, whether you're the licensee or the licensor, you know, when you find a partner who's committed to the concept, who's invested in it, who cares about it, and is really sees it as a long-term relationship, and understanding that, you know, it's first and foremost, the first thing you want to do is what we kind of did in the beginning, which is it's kind of like dating. I'm single, so maybe not very good at it, but so the thing is that it's kind of like dating in a sense, you want to find the right person or the right, partner. I mean, kind of perfect word. And then once you do that, you have to, you really have to start to understand the sort of speak each other's language. And that was super seamless and really easy. We were able to really, the first thing we had to do is look at sort of what they were doing, what they're doing, look at the breadth of what they already have, and figure out where we fit into that space and how we would define ourselves within it. We already know sort of our point of view and our perspective, and within that, we have the ability to really sort of make it, we can sort of tweak it one way or the other. So the first thing we wanted to do is make sure that we weren't sort of cannibalizing anything that already existed, and also that we were doing something that felt new and interesting and exciting, but also felt like it belonged with the overall sort of the Fazy sort of family. And, one of the things that we try to do with our products is that I try to make them appealing to designers, both in the sense that they are really great designs and it's a great product, but that we're thoughtful about, designers being able to purchase them, being able to resell them. How do we see these things sort of landing into the designer's hands, from the designers to their clients, or from designers or designers that have showrooms, or that are selling product to other designers. So we're really looking at it all those ways. Having that perspective, I think, really helps us when we're in the design phase, and also when we're looking at quality and looking at the layers of quality that we want to work within, and where we want to sort of springboard into a relationship and into that product world, and knowing that we can sort of grow the breadth of that as we move forward.
Right. So let's take a look at some of these beautiful designs. I think Wethersfield was one of mine.
Yeah.
Interesting coloring with the yellow,
Yes.
gray, and it had this sort of chunky knot. Where did this kind of come from?
Well, so one of the things that I wanted to do was I wanted our line, as we initially bring it out, to be sort of identifiably unique, but also friendly, familiar at the same time. Something that designers and that when people are out shopping for product for their showrooms or for their clients, that they're looking at this and it solves a lot of it's a design sort of problem solver. That these are things that we can integrate into existing interiors, or if you put them on a showroom floor, that they can really translate to people, but without them being sort of anonymous or sort of something that we feel like we've seen a million times, or just doing them in sort of neutrals all the time, just so that they can sort of have that sort of that easy versatility. I wanted them to have a little bit stronger point of view, and as the collection grows, we can become more and more specific, but giving it that unique but very pointed kind of design perspective was really important to me. The Weatherfield, that quality has a really beautiful sort of chunky quality to it, which I really like. And what it does is it kind of blurs a little bit of the design. It gives the design, it's not a really sort of refined line that you're getting on anything. Right. It gives you this kind of chunky blurriness, which I really like. And it almost gives the rugs a little bit of a kind of a vintage kind of feel to them, which I love. They're hand knotted, it's 100% wool, the quality is amazing. What I loved about it is that these are like heirloom quality rugs, but the price points are really approachable. The quality is really, really high quality. And I thought that the way that the yarns take the fabric and the way that you see the design gave it kind of a, I don't know, like sometimes when you see like an old Ushak, it's kind of worn a little bit and it's a little bit blurry. It kind of has that sensibility. And I just saw these as, I just love, that's one of my favorite qualities for that reason. I mean, they're all different and unique, but I really loved that sensibility. And texture to me is something that's really important in rugs. For me, the first launch has really been, we did a lot with texture. We did a lot with sort of these natural woven kind of patterns that were almost an explosion of something that we've seen before, like a rattan or a wicker, and we've kind of taken it, and it looks a bit abstract. It may even look a little bit modern, but when you really understand and look at it, it starts to become very familiar at the same time and very sort of timeless.
You know, rugs and, you know, Fenner, Long Ridge, they're all very graphic. I think one is hand knotted. Was there a certain, you know, aesthetic, you know, that you were going for, Justin, or did you know that, you know, graphics are going to sell? I just kind of want to hear your point of view, you know, from sort of like the rug side.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you know, we wanted to look at, when we were looking at creating the collection, we wanted to kind of keep it within a couple of different price areas and categories. So something that's a little bit more accessible, a little bit more of that higher end, and then really that aspirational or inspirational piece. And so we really looked to develop into each of those three categories. I think, for example, like the Weatherfield, that chunky knot, we've done a ton of research on this, and especially since COVID and people wanting that warmth, that comfort level, that chunky knot is just a home run hit. I think it just allows you to kind of dig your feet in there. It's actually a cut pile. So a lot of clients think it's loop. It's not. Really, really thick, beautiful fibers in it. And I think it warms up some more of those cooler colors. So that pale yellow, which I think is absolutely stunning, mixed with that gray. The moment we saw it, we fell in love with that whole collection.
And that's one of the things about the pile, the way that rug is, you know, made, is that it does give us the ability to be a little bit cooler with our palette, and it still has a warmth to it because of that sort of chunkiness that it has, or that sort of the heft of the pile, which is really great. And I think that it does give it a really, you know, it gives it kind of a real sort of substantial kind of warmth, which is really nice.
So Tom, are you planning to use, you know, these in your upcoming projects, or have you?
Absolutely. I mean, actually, it's funny. When we photographed the rugs we photographed them in my showroom in New York. We photographed them in my house my apartment in New York City. I have there's a Fazy rug sitting right behind me on the floor of my living room that's from way before we did this together. So before we launched all the product. So I really do live with them. I love them. And yes, I'm planning on, I've already chosen the one I want for my living room in New York. And we already show the rugs in our showroom are already Fazy rugs that we show in our showroom, but now we'll be able to show Fazy rugs that actually are our design that we will have on the floor. We also show them at High Point in our showroom at High Point. So as we grow Sedgwick and Brattle and hopefully go to different cities with that showroom, also as High Point continues to move forward, we'll be doing that as well. But yes, yeah, we're committed to the product at multiple levels. We're committed to it in terms of we really want to be a part of the design process, whether we're designing hardware, whether we're designing artwork, rugs, bedding, furniture, textiles. Every single one of our partners knows that we are very, you know, we're involved in a way that makes these products not only, I think, come to life in a way that hopefully they have legs, but also that we're actually committed to using the product, you know, that we're using them in our projects, all of our projects. And I'm living with them. And when I'm being photographed in my space, or my apartment is in El Decor, or, you know, or think projects that we're doing, we have a project that's going to be an AD this month, and there's Fazy rugs in that. So it's like, it's organic. You know, I mean, I don't only use my product. I use a lot of other people's product. I use vintage and antique pieces. I mean, we're shopping high, medium, and, you know, entry level. So, and I use all of my products, or sometimes none of my products, in just a few products, sometimes in projects. So it really, it's about having it as a great resource. And I definitely practice what I preach. I mean, I'm sitting at my dining table right now. I'm sitting on my dining chair. A lot of the furniture behind me is, you know, original pieces from a Vanguard line. So I definitely am committed to my relationships and also the product, and also the long-term, sort of success of the products, and sort of, developing them and really standing behind them. I would
Right.
never recommend someone to stand on a rug, sit on a sofa, or have dinner at a table that I wouldn't consider using in my own home.
Of course. Well, I can't wait to see, some of these rugs in your upcoming projects. And, thank you both for chatting and talking a little bit more about the collaboration. My fingers are crossed for a round 2. And, congratulations. The designs are so beautiful. To our viewers, thanks for tuning in, and see you guys next time. Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Mwah.
Bye.